things just lined up perfectly for the Rams heading into this divisional round of playoff matchup against the Bears. Some keys to victory for the Rams, as well as an updated injury report and a score prediction for this weekend's game. All that and more on this episode of Rams Digest. Before we get into all the news today, this video is brought to you by Koshi. When you download Koshi using the link in the description and enter code DIGESTNFL, you'll get $20 when you trade your first 100. Koshi is the largest prediction market in the United States, and on their platform, you can trade yes or no on real-life events, including sports, news, elections, and anything you can think of. And best of all, whether you're in California, Texas, or any other U.S. state, Koshi is live in all 50 states, and on their platform, any trade you make is on a regulated platform, and you can cash out at any time. And for Rams fans, there's so much to trade for on Koshi, including game odds, where the Rams are heavy favorites at 63% chance. I do have the Rams winning this game in Chicago, as well as point spreads and over-unders, where I have Indiana winning the college football championship, but by under 7.5. But I do think over 48.5 points will be scored, as well as player props for both touchdowns and yards. I have Colston Loveland and Kyren Williams for a touchdown at any time in this upcoming game versus the Bears, as well as award odds. And you already know for MVP, I got my boy Matthew Stafford. And for futures, like who will play in the Super Bowl this season, I have now the Rams and Bills. Unfortunately, my original pick of Rams-Jaguars is not possible anymore, but this is also a new and fun way for sports fans to test their sports knowledge by trading on Koshi. And remember to use the link down below in the description to download Koshi. And when you do, enter code DIGESTNFL to get $20 when you trade your first 100. Thank you very much to Koshi once again for sponsoring this video. Now, let's get back to the news. Welcome back into another episode of Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Finehirsh. And before we get started with today's video, make sure to hit that like button right now for the stream coming up this Sunday, 3:20 p.m. Pacific time for Rams Bears. Like this video as well if you want the Rams to win this week and make a run at the Super Bowl. But now we have to get into today's video because we got a lot to talk about heading into this weekend's game. We got some keys to victory for you from Turf Show Times that we're going to get into right now. And the first thing is you got to win in the trenches. If the weather is going to be cold, the Rams have to win this game in the trenches on both sides of the ball. This is one area the Rams actually have a significant advantage. The Bears' defense has allowed the second most yards before contact in the NFL this season at 1.9. Since Week 10, they have allowed 2.8 yards before contact. The Rams are getting Kevin Dotson back for this game, and their adjusted line yards in the run game is the best over the last 30 years. Since Week 10, the Rams are getting 2.64 yards before contact on offense, and that's key. Getting Kevin Dotson back is going to be key. He's part of that injury update. Obviously, the breaking news of the day is that the Rams kept trying to run left against the Panthers, and it did not go well at all. And now with Kevin Dotson back, that's definitely going to help. Justin Dedich no longer in that starting lineup. I mean, the Bears' run defense was kind of just okay against the Packers. The Packers had 99 total rushing yards. The Packers didn't really hand the ball off to any other running backs, really. Besides Josh Jacobs, Emmanuel Wilson, with only one carry, was definitely some interesting play calling there by Matt LaFleur. So making sure that Kyren and Corey can split that time in the backfield effectively will also be a key reason why they can win in the trenches. And that doesn't mention that the Bears ranked 27th in quarterback pressure rate at 31.6%, and the Rams are allowing the second lowest pressure rate in the NFL. On the offensive side of the ball, the Rams have a significant advantage in the trenches, and it isn't particularly close. That's something that will work in the Rams' favor. While the Rams' offense has been the best running team via success rate in the NFL, the Bears aren't far behind. It's been the strength of their team. They also have a 48.5 rushing success rate. Their 0.4 EPA per rush ranks fourth. The key here is that this has been the strength of the Rams' defense for most of the season. The Rams built their defense this season to stop the run. Yes, they have. They've been a lot better at stopping the run. They held the Panthers to 83 rushing yards in the first round. And the Bears, we know, we're a team. They're going to have a lot of balance in their offense. If we look at their box score last week against the Bears here, the Bears had 52 passing yards and 93 rushing yards. The Bears get Kyle Monangai, DeAndre Swift, Caleb Williams all out there on the ground, as well as Luther Burden's a speed guy that they give a lot of end arounds to with the Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell system of offense that Ben Johnson learned under. So You got to be ready for that the Rams' rushing defense is going to have to come to play. Once again, Nate Landman's going to need to be in there making tackles. Spades, Quentin Lake is going to have to be great at making tackles, as well as this entire defense. And they have allowed a few explosive runs over the last 8 weeks. However, they got back to what worked against the Panthers, as Chuba Hubbard had 3.5 yards per carry and Rico Dowdle has 1.8. The Rams may not get negative plays, but their 37.6% rush rate ranks 6th in the NFL. That's been the case over the last 6 weeks. Since week 14, the Rams have allowed a rushing success rate of 36.9%, despite ranking 23rd in rushing EPA. In other words, from down to down, the run defense has remained very good. It's the explosive runs to Kenneth Walker and Bijan Robinson that have hurt them statistically. The Rams should be able to do enough against the Bears' run game to give them the edge. Chicago will also be without their starting left tackle. And that is key for this Rams pass rush to hopefully be able to get after and sack Caleb. We saw the Packers get some pressure, but Caleb was just so good at rolling out to either side out of the pocket. He's just able to flip it downfield on a 4th and 8 like it's nothing to Ramo Dunze to help the Bears ice that comeback victory. Now for the explosive runs, Bijan Robinson, I'm going to give every team a pass. Bijan is amazing, and he is almost impossible to tackle. The Kenneth Walker run sucked. Kenneth Walker's not an explosive running back, and the Rams made him look awesome in their second meeting. And the Rams were kind of able to play Rico Dowdle out of the game against the Panthers in the wildcard game. Dowdle barely got the ball, it seemed like, after the first quarter, so the Rams actually did a great job there of being able to get him out of the game plan early on. The second key is leaning into 13 personnel and both running backs. The Rams have leaned into 13 personnel for the most part over the back half of the season. Running the ball and utilizing the tight ends has been a big part of their identity. However, that wasn't the case last week against the Panthers. This week, the offense needs to get back into 13 personnel and running the football with both running backs. The Bears don't have the bodies to defend the Rams in heavier packages out of nickel. If the Bears match in nickel, the Rams' offense will eat. They will be without TJ Edwards and linebacker, which should allow the Rams to get heavy and run inside consistently. It will also allow the Rams to attack the edges. Yeah, it will. TJ Edwards is a very good player. He has a couple picks for the Bears this year as well, a good open field tackler, and he's not going to be in the lineup for them. Unfortunately, I do agree. Also, Terrance Ferguson, have some positive news on him coming up later, so stay tuned for that. So that 13 personnel, I do think, will be back in the plan. And the Rams did utilize both running backs. Corum had 11 carries, Kyren had 13, so both running backs did get double-digit carries, and I do sense that happening in what should be a very cold game in Chicago, that these teams, but especially the Rams, need to lean into the run game. And the Rams should be able to mix things up with Kyren Williams and Blake Corum with success. However, this needs to be a Blake Corum game. Only James Cook has more runs out of inside zone and dual looks this season, and Williams has a 60% success rate. With that said, the Bears lack mobility inside. They actually defend man/duo runs in the inside zone well. Outside zone is where it can gash them. The Bears allow the 7th most yards per carry on outside zone runs and have the 5th most yards on explosive plays. As a whole, the Bears allow the 6th highest explosive run rate on defense, and this is what the Rams need to do. Manuel said this in chat a while ago, and I love this quote: the Rams pass to run. I think this game, it's got to be the opposite. You got to try to run that football, especially in the cold. This is going to be a cold weather game. We can't keep mentioning it enough. And for a Rams team, the run game got a lot better as the season went on. You're going to have the O-line you had going into that Seattle game. So I do believe that the run game, it can come back. Get some extra tight ends blocking as well, because I'm sure the Bears are going to try to mix things up defensively as much as they can for Matthew Stafford as well. On that note, Blake Corum is second in the NFL in explosive run rate on outside zone concepts. He is very good at the cutback lane, at finding the cutback lane and getting up to speed. Since week 7, Corum ranks 12th in explosive run rate on all runs. Among running backs with at least 100 carries during that span, that jumps to 6th. Williams plays a strong role in the offense in that he keeps them on track. However, if the Rams lean into the run game more, they'll need to find the occasional explosive. That's where Corum excels, and it's something that the Bears are susceptible to giving up. This should also provide strong matchups for Puka Nacua. Amon-Ra St. Brown had a combined 20 receptions for 254 yards and 3 touchdowns in 2 games against the Bears this season. If the Rams can get Nacua lined up over the slot, the Bears rank 30th in the NFL in EPA per slot target. The Rams should be able to run the ball to set up effective passes as they did in Week 7 against the Jaguars. Yeah, I think that's what they'll have to do, kind of that similar game plan to what they had when Puka wasn't in the lineup, because we'll see how Puka responds. Puka's from Hawaii. He did play at BYU for college, so he has some experience in cold weather games. Blake Corum has a lot of experience in college, so does Kyren, obviously as well. Devontae being up in Green Bay, this will be nothing for him, but a lot of the defensive guys don't. So that's where those temperatures that we keep talking about are really going to set in for this Rams team. Temperature set to be around single digits with a real feel of negative 18. That's what's been going around. So I might get secondhand brain freeze from watching this game from sunny California. So definitely something the Rams need to be aware of heading into this matchup for sure. And you got to limit damage on explosives. When it comes to the Rams defense, the overall ethos is limiting explosive plays and forcing teams to work their way down the field in small chunks before locking down in the red zone. However, that hasn't been the case as of late. The Rams have allowed the second most explosive passes over the last 6 weeks. Against non-Arizona Cardinals opponents, the defense has allowed a 71.4% touchdown rate in the red zone. That's not good. Caleb Williams is a quarterback that is going to look to push the ball downfield. Williams has the 4th most passing yards this season on passes of 20 or more yards. However, he also ranks 4th with the most yards on short passes, where Williams struggles in the intermediate area of the field. He has the 5th worst completion percentage in the intermediate areas of the field, behind Bryce Young. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, Caleb was not very accurate this year. A lot of things got better with him, but he did not get more accurate as the year went on, which is definitely a little bit concerning if you are a Bears fan. And yeah, for the Rams, gotta look out for the explosive plays. The Packers late in the game, that's always what does it. The explosive plays for the Bears. Teams already look at the Bengals game, although again, it is the Bengals defense, so I'm not surprised. But you look at other games, this Packers defense, which is still pretty good without Micah Parsons. You give up that explosive play. And the fact that every other team besides the Cardinals is scoring at a 71.4% touchdown rate in the red zone in the last few weeks, not good. Not good. That has to get better in this game. The Bears are a very good red zone team. Ben Johnson's going to have trick plays up his sleeve for this playoff game. The Rams defense has to come ready again. Nate Lehman, Jared Verse, Byron Newton, Braden Fisk. All these guys got to get some pressure on Caleb Williams. Make it difficult. And cover well in the secondary. And you're going to have to follow these receivers around because they're going to keep moving as Caleb moves outside of the pocket. Williams is a much more athletic version of Young, and when he extends the play, he's going to look for breakdowns in the secondary. It's very possible that the Rams pass rush flushes Williams, but he has the 2nd lowest pressure to sack rate in the NFL and leads the NFL in big-time throws while under pressure. It's going to be critical for the secondary to hold up over time. The big plays are likely going to happen, but can the Rams sack Williams twice in those situations? Can the edges contain Williams in the pocket while the interior players like Kobe Turner, Brandon Fisk wrap up inside? Yeah, that's going to be key. Everyone's going to have to be on their tackling game. This is a must-tackle game. Every game is a must-tackle game, especially in the playoffs. But this game specifically, because of just how great this team is in the open field and how much off-script they can go with Caleb, you have to be ready for everything at all times. I do think you may need a quarterback spy out there. Maybe Quentin Lake is going to kind of be used as a QB spy because I think Quentin Lake's a guy who has some speed as well to catch up to Caleb, because Caleb's faster than you think as well. He could take off and run at any given moment, so I do think the Rams need a QB spy as well. Comment down below whether you think they need a QB spy. This is really the first opponent this year where I think that really matters, so definitely leave that in the comments down below. And last season, DeAndre Swift didn't look good before playing the Rams. With the Rams needing a stop, Swift scampered for a 36-yard touchdown run. Swift is playing much better this season. The Rams can't allow the explosive run as they did in losses against the Seahawks and Falcons or the playoff loss last year against the Eagles. That's especially the case in the 4th quarter. If the Rams take away the big plays out of structure, they should be able to get some stops on defense. Yeah, I do agree with that as we look at kind of what the Bears did on the ground in this game. DeAndre Swift had 13 for 54 and a touchdown against the Packers, 4.2 yards per carry. Kyle Monangai, 8 for 27, 3.4 yards per carry. Caleb, 4 for 20 for 5 yards per carry. Again, Luther Burden and DJ Moore didn't really do much on the ground, but again, Colson Loveland, 8 from 137, 17 average. Roma Dunze, 2 for 44, 22 average. Zacchaeus caught a touchdown. He's been great for them. Monangai had a 22 average. DeAndre Swift, 19 average. Rome, 22. DJ Moore, 10.7 average, 6 for 64. So all these receivers are able to go deep downfield as well, and that's something the Rams desperately need to look at. The Packers forced 2 turnovers. Caleb threw 2 picks and was still able to win that game, and the Packers sacked them once, but it was not enough. And next is that you got to protect the football. The Bears' defense might not be very good, but they are extremely opportunistic. Chicago's defense isn't a unit that wins because they're better, but because they maximize opposition mistakes. They lead the NFL in turnover differential at plus 22, which is 5 turnovers better than the Houston Texans. My fantasy team defense, I love them and also love them in real life. Their 33 turnovers, which are led by 23 interceptions, lead the NFL as well. Kevin Byard leads the Bears with 7 interceptions, and Deshaun Wright has 4. The Bears may be without TJ Edwards, but Tremaine Edmonds has 4 picks as well. This is how the Bears defense wins. They're 26th in defensive success rate, but they live off of turnovers. Yes, they do, and we have something else here to talk about, and it's that when the Bears force a turnover, this is from the same article. I couldn't include everything. So if you want to read it, go to Turf Show Times, 5 keys to victory for the Rams. When the Bears force a turnover, they're 11-4 this season. Their only losses are against the Vikings in Week 1, the Packers, and the Niners and the Lions in Week 18. And when they don't force a turnover, they're 1-2, and their lone win came last week. It's something to keep an eye on too for the Rams. When Matthew Stafford throws multiple interceptions or has multiple turnovers, the Rams are 0-2. Those Panthers and Falcons games, 2 very inferior teams to the Rams, and this team's not nearly as inferior. So who knows? Sometimes the Rams tend to play down, sometimes they tend to play up. So we'll just have to wait and see kind of how they play. But I definitely worry about this cold weather for sure for the Rams, at least a little bit to get used to, but I do think this Rams offense is going to be humming. I think McVay is going to be ready. Stafford, 2-2 in these cold games, like we talked about in his career, in games under freezing temperature, so we can win in these games. So that does make me feel better for sure, but Stafford's definitely been more turnover prone lately. Obviously, I've had the pick against the Panthers, so you cannot have a turnover if you are the Rams in this game. And Kyren Williams got to keep 2 hands on the ball. He fumbled in the snow against the Eagles, and so you got to make sure he keeps 2 hands on the ball throughout this entire playoff run, but especially in this game today. And lastly is you can't take your foot off the gas. The Bears won 7 games this season after trailing in the last 2 minutes. Meanwhile, all 5 of the Rams' losses have come after giving up a game-winning drive late in the game or in overtime. 2 of the Rams' losses have come after surrendering a 10-point lead in the second half. The Bears just won that type of game last week, coming back from 21-3 in the second half. Yeah, they did. So you cannot take your foot off the gas. You can't start playing not to lose. That's what Matt LaFleur did. You can't start playing not to lose. You have to play to win for all 60 minutes. Because I do sense, I'm not going to spoil my score pick yet, so stay tuned to the end for that. But I definitely sense that this is going to be a close game, down to the wire. It could end up being whoever has the ball last wins. We know the Bears are the comeback kids. We know they're not going to give up despite however many points they're down. So you need to play a complete game here if you're the Rams. And comment down below right now what you think about all these keys. To me, I would say it's the run game, winning in the trenches, as well as the turnovers. Those are the 2 big keys that the Rams need in order to win. So leave a comment right now what you think. But we got a quick injury report to get to from Sarah Barshop of ESPN, which I'm going to pull up for you right now. So as you can see, I know it's a little small. This is kind of as big as I can get the picture to get here. But Terrance Williams off the injury report. He practiced in full. Kevin Dotson, full practice today. Not just limited, full practice going to be playing. So great news there. Puka Nacua had 2 full practices. He'll be good. Matthew Stafford full all week. You know, obviously Xavier Smith off the injury report with a wrist injury. Josh Wallace is going to be back as well with that ankle injury. I know Chris Shula said they're keeping the same starting corners, but wouldn't be surprised if McCreary and Wallace both have big impacts in this game. Terrance Ferguson as well. He'll be back. I think that's big for 13 personnel. Quentin Lake came up with a foot injury, so trying to figure out when that was, but he's back. Jordan Whittington, key for special teams. He'll be back. As well, Garoppolo, questionable. Doesn't really matter to me. Byron Young, homie, just needs some rest once again. We're all good. Deshaun Johnson getting sick today definitely does scare me. He had a great game against the Panthers and Cardinals, but if he's had a couple sacks throughout this playoff run already, so that'll be key. For the Bears, Rama is questionable with that leg injury. He did have a full practice, though, today, so I wouldn't be surprised if he plays. DJ Moore, all good there. CJ Gardner-Johnson as well, another guy who gets a lot of picks back for the Rams. Comment down, for the Bears, I should say. Comment down below what you think about all these injuries. To me, Kevin Dotson coming back is the biggest update, so leave down below what you think. Now, time for my score prediction. For me, I got Rams 30, Bears 24. This is going to be a very, very close game, fought to the end, but I do believe I'm going to go with the team with more experience in the Rams. Comment down below your score prediction right now as well. I have Rams win 30-24, and that is all for this episode of Rams Digest. Make sure to like this video right now if you want the Rams to win. Like this video right now if you want the Rams to make the Super Bowl and win it. And like this video for the stream coming up this Sunday, 3:20 p.m. Pacific time. Looking forward to seeing all of you there. Josh and I really love everybody in chat. Last stream, we have around 20K views on it, so thank you so much for that. We hope to break that this week as well. And comment down below your thoughts on the keys to victory, the injury report, and your score pick. I want to know. I've been your host, Joshua Finehirsh, as always. Thank you very much for watching another episode of Rams Digest. I'll see you soon for another one. I'll see you on Sunday for the stream, and have a great start to your weekend.